It's the year 600 AD. The Arabian Peninsula is a forgotten corner of the world, divided tribes fighting endlessly in the desert, overshadowed by the mighty Byzantine and Persian empires. Yet within just a century, these same backward desert dwellers would conquer both superpowers and forge an empire stretching from Spain to India. How did this impossible transformation happen? The answer lies in the emergence of Islam, the genius of military commanders like Khalid ibn al-Walid, the man they called the Sword of God, and a series of civil wars that would split the Muslim world forever. This is the story of how faith, ambition and warfare created one of history's greatest empires, the divided peninsula. Before Islam, Arabia was the definition of chaos. The peninsula was home to countless Bedouin tribes, desert nomads who wandered from oasis to oasis, and settled fellahin who farmed the fertile spots. These tribes were locked in constant warfare, making them easy prey for their powerful neighbours. The Persians raided them regularly. In 570 AD, the same year tradition says Muhammad was born, Ethiopian forces even invaded with war elephants, an event Arabs called the Year of the Elephant. Some tribes became vassals. The Himyarites served Ethiopia, the Ghassanids served Byzantium, and the Lakhmids fell under Persian influence. Into this fractured world came various religions, Christian missionaries, Jewish refugees fleeing persecution, and other religious minorities found sanctuary in Arabia's religious diversity. But it was paganism that dominated, centered on the holy city of Mecca, controlled by the powerful Quraysh tribe, and it was into this very tribe that Muhammad was born. The Prophet's revolution. Muhammad was orphaned early and raised by relatives. For 40 years he lived as a merchant. Nothing suggested he would change world history, but around 610 AD, everything changed. Muhammad began preaching a revolutionary message. Abandon the pagan idols, worship Allah alone, submit to God's will. The very word Islam means submission to God. The reaction was explosive. While Muhammad gained followers, most of Mecca's elite opposed this threat to their power and the profitable pilgrimage trade. Under threat of death, Muhammad and his followers made a desperate escape in 622 to the nearby city of Yathrib, an event called the Hijra that Muslims still mark as the beginning of their calendar. In Yathrib, soon renamed Medina, Muhammad transformed from religious preacher to political leader. But his rise came at a cost. Conflicts with the local Jewish community over financial, religious and political differences led to their expulsion from the city. Meanwhile, war with Mecca was brewing. The Sword of Islam. The conflict began with raids and skirmishes, but escalated dramatically at the Battle of Badr in 624. Despite being outnumbered, Muhammad's forces crushed the Meccan army, killing their commander Abu Jahl. For Muslims, this victory was divine confirmation of their cause. But Mecca struck back. At the Battle of Uhud, the tide turned when Muslim forces broke ranks to loot the enemy camp. A brilliant cavalry commander named Khalid ibn al-Walid, fighting for the pagans, exploited this mistake and routed the Muslims, even wounding Muhammad himself. The decisive moment came at the Battle of the Trench in 627. When a massive pagan coalition besieged Medina, Muhammad ordered a defensive trench dug around the city, a tactic that saved the Muslim community and broke the siege. Here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. That same Khalid ibn al-Walid, who had defeated Muhammad, now converted to Islam. Muhammad, recognizing his genius, gave him the title Saif Allah, the Sword of God. This decision would prove crucial to Islam's expansion. In 630, Muhammad finally conquered Mecca with 10,000 warriors. The city's leader, Abu Sufyan, former enemy turned ally, surrendered without a fight. By Muhammad's death in 632, most of Arabia had embraced Islam. The succession crisis. Muhammad's death created an immediate crisis. Who would lead the Muslims? Some supported Ali, Muhammad's cousin and son-in-law, believing leadership should pass through bloodlines. Others wanted election by consensus. The election faction won. Abu Bakr, Muhammad's father-in-law, became the first caliph, successor of the Prophet. But this decision planted the seeds of a schism that persists today between Sunni and Shia Muslims. Abu Bakr's first challenge was massive. Most Bedouin tribes renounced Islam and returned to paganism, while false prophets arose across Arabia. The Ridda Wars had begun. Abu Bakr's masterstroke was deploying Khalid ibn al-Walid against the rebels. The sword of God proved devastating, defeating the false prophet Musaylima and crushing tribal resistance. Within a year, Arabia was unified under Islam. The great conquests begin. With Arabia united, the Arabs possessed something they'd never had: unified purpose. The concept of jihad, struggle for Islam, provided both religious justification and material motivation. War spoils enriched the tribes, while those who died fighting became shaheeds. Martyrs guaranteed paradise. Their first target was the Persian Empire. Despite its former might, Sassanid Persia was exhausted from decades of war with Byzantium and weakened by internal strife. In 633, Khalid ibn al-Walid invaded. What followed was a masterclass in military genius. Khalid's superior mobility and tactical brilliance shattered Persian forces across multiple battles. The Natabs conquered Mesopotamia, which they renamed Iraq, meaning shore or edge. But Abu Bakr had bigger ambitions. He also sent forces against Byzantium. The fall of empires. Initially, the Byzantine campaign stalled, but when Khalid ibn al-Walid joined the offensive, everything changed. The decisive moment came at Yarmouk in 636, a six-day battle that ended in catastrophic Byzantine defeat. Syria was lost to the empire forever. Under the new Caliph Umar ibn al-Khattab, the conquest accelerated. Jerusalem fell after a 2-year siege, with Muslims promising to protect Christian holy sites. Egypt fell to Arab forces under Ammar ibn al-As, who then pushed into North Africa. Meanwhile, Persian resistance collapsed completely. By 651, the entire Sassanid Empire had fallen to Arab armies. The transformation was breathtaking. The Arabs established new cities like Fustat, modern Cairo, Kufa in Iraq, and rebuilt Shiraz in Persia. Damascus became an Arab capital. They preserved local knowledge, translating Greek and Persian texts into Arabic, creating a new Islamic civilization. Non-Muslims could practice their faiths freely, but had to pay the jizya tax for protection. This system actually encouraged conversion over time, as many found it easier to join the ruling faith. The First Civil War, success bred conflict. Under the third Caliph, Uthman ibn Affan from the Umayyad clan, conquests continued: Cyprus, Rhodes, and the final conquest of Persia. Uthman also standardized the Quran's text, but opposition grew. Critics accused Uthman and his Umayyad relatives of corruption and nepotism. In 656, rebels stormed his house and killed him. Ali finally became Caliph, but the damage was done. Civil war erupted, the first fitna. Aisha, Muhammad's widow and daughter of Abu Bakr, led an army against Ali. At the Battle of the Camel, named because Aisha commanded from a howdah on a camelback, Ali emerged victorious. But the real threat came from Syria's governor Muawiyah, from the same Umayyad clan as the murdered Uthman. At the Battle of Siffin, the armies fought to a stalemate before agreeing to arbitration. This compromise enraged Ali's radical supporters, the Kharijites, who believed only God could judge such matters. They rebelled against both sides. In 661, a Kharijite assassin killed Ali, though an attempt on Muawiyah failed. The Great Schism. Ali's death crystallized the Muslim split. His supporters, Shi'at Ali, or Shiites, believed only Muhammad's bloodline through Ali should rule. They chose Ali's son Hassan as their leader. The majority, Sunnis, supported established caliphal traditions, following the Sunnah, or custom, of the Prophet. Muawiyah proved a master politician. When Hassan gathered forces against him, Muawiyah allegedly bribed his commanders, causing defections. Hassan abandoned his claim in exchange for financial compensation and the right to participate in choosing the next caliph. The Umayyad dynasty was born. For 90 years, this clan would rule from Damascus, transforming the caliphate from a religious community into a traditional monarchy. Dynasty and rebellion. Muawiyah consolidated power brilliantly. He moved the capital to Damascus among loyal Syrian Arabs, created a personal guard of mercenaries, and built a standing army. He even appointed former enemies to high positions, displaying remarkable political acumen. His most famous campaign was the Siege of Constantinople from 674 to 678. Arab fleets controlled the Sea of Marmara and blockaded the Byzantine capital, but the mysterious weapon called Greek fire helped the Byzantines hold out. In 676, Muawiyah named his son Yazid as successor, establishing dynastic rule. When Muawiyah died in 680, not everyone accepted Yazid's legitimacy. Ali's second son, Husayn, raised rebellion. Near Karbala in Iraq, his small force was surrounded and massacred by Umayyad troops. Husayn's death became a defining moment for Shiite Islam, a martyrdom commemorated annually to this day. The Second Civil War, Yazid's actions triggered the second fitna. Abdullah ibn az-Zubayr, grandson of Abu Bakr, declared himself caliph in Mecca, while accusing Yazid of murder and debauchery. The Muslim world split into competing factions. Kharijite radicals seized territories in Arabia and Persia. When Yazid died unexpectedly in 683, the Umayyad succession crisis deepened as his son died within months. The clan's salvation came from Marwan ibn al-Hakam, who seized control and established the Marwanid branch of Umayyad rule. Through military skill and political cunning, including strategic bribery, his son Abd al-Malik gradually defeated all rivals. The war's climax came in 692 when Umayyad forces under the brutal commander Hajjaj ibn Yusuf besieged Mecca. After 7 months, Abdullah ibn az-Zubayr died fighting near the damaged Kaaba. Arabia returned to Umayyad control. The legacy. The second fitnas end in 692, called the Year of Unity, restored Islamic political unity under Umayyad rule, but the religious schism was permanent. Shiites withdrew from politics for 2 centuries, focusing on religious development while awaiting divine justice. The Umayyads had triumphed, ushering in what many consider the golden age of Arab history. From the chaos of tribal warfare had emerged a unified empire spanning 3 continents. The rise of Islam represents one of history's most dramatic transformations. A new faith, brilliant military commanders, and the weakness of exhausted empires combined to create a civilization that would preserve and advance human knowledge for centuries. But as we've seen, success came at a price. The civil wars, the Sunni-Shia split, and the transformation from religious community to political dynasty would shape Islamic history forever. The desert tribes had indeed conquered the world, but in doing so, they changed themselves beyond recognition. Outro. What do you think was the most crucial factor in Islam's rapid expansion? Was it the military genius of commanders like Khalid ibn al-Walid, the religious fervour of the early Muslims, or simply the right historical moment when their enemies were weakened? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into how the Arabs built their empire, make sure to subscribe to Warpath Histories for more epic tales from history's greatest conflicts. Until next time, this has been your journey through the rise of Islam, from desert tribes to world empire.